How do you be a degenerate and a robot at the same time? Dr. Mike did a video on this about just kind of like weed and how it affects recovery and stuff. While I am no doctor, I may be the superior stoner here. So over the years with my clients, with myself, I've sort of figured out the best ways to not affect your fitness. That's not to say that it's not going to affect it at all. If you are a pro athlete, you probably shouldn't be smoking weed and you'll probably still be tested for it. I am in Massachusetts. I no longer compete. I am all good. Make sure you're all good. If you pop on some tests that you shouldn't have been popping on, do not come for me. But if you are like a fitness enthusiast, you take it pretty seriously, you just want to get in better shape, but you're also the coolest person around, how do you juggle it? Not only am I going to tell you the best strains to avoid the munchies, how to set up your day so that you have the least chance of overeating later, and some little things you can do just to make sure that it's not affecting your recovery, you're getting the benefits from it, but keeping it at a point that it's not going to be a detriment to you. I'm going to assume that a lot of you are here because of the munchies, and that you're a lot like me in the sense that if this shit goes unpatrolled, I will eat a half a gallon of mac and cheese and be ordering pizza while I do it. The first thing you should know is that weed tastes better. More reactive signals from your brain's like, good, that thing, screaming. There's something called THCV. While THC is an appetite stimulant, THCV actually suppresses your appetite. So it counteracts it a little bit. However, you're still going to have THC in the mix. So keep that in mind. It's not going to go away altogether. Strains high in THCV: Jack the Ripper, Red Congolese, Durban Poison, Harlessu, Red Congolese, Moby Dick. And actually, one of my new favorites is GSC 15. It's a Girl Scout cookies origin, I believe. That one I find is actually really good. I don't get too hungry on that one either. These strains are going to be for someone that has trouble controlling their intake. If you are a person that is trying to up your intake, which a lot of my clients that have issues gaining weight, this is a great pathway. I do not recommend to my clients, you know what you should do? You gotta be smoking way more weed. That's your problem. No, I don't actually suggest to my clients to smoke weed. But if you are a person that would like to increase your appetite, you're gonna stick to more indica leaning strains. Overall, indicas are going to tend to make you a little bit hungrier than sativas. Most of the ones that I listed earlier, if you're trying to avoid the munchies, a lot of those are going to be sativas. I believe there's a few hybrids in there. If you have a massive preference and it doesn't really line up, I suggest going the hybrid route unless you know it really doesn't affect you well. Then don't do shit that's going to fuck with you mentally. If you know, well, when I smoke indica, I cry for 6 days in a row after. So don't. Most of us, even on the strains that are going to make you less hungry, are, again, going to still experience some of that hunger stimulation. At this point, you have two options. I have my moderators and I have my abstainers. Most people are gonna fall into one of these two categories. Let's start with moderators. If you really don't know which one you lean towards, moderation is the one I would always suggest to start with. Really all this is just gonna be planning what you are going to eat. This is gonna be the only thing you consume after. Make sure that number one, the rest of your day's intake was sufficient. If you are going into your little session super hungry already, you have a much easier time like cutting down a tree with a butter knife. If you are somebody that is overeating to the point where you're feeling like negative detrimental effects, like you're binging really bad, your like stomach is upset all the time, at that point, that is not management. Like that's something you have to take a step back on consumption, and then you have to deal with the underlying food issues before you can go back to kind of just recreational use. If you just like eat too many Cheetos sometimes, like it's not the end of the world. Fitness people love the word high volume food, but it does actually apply here. So all that trendy word of the day means is that your food is big, but it's not big on calories. So watermelon, big, however, you eat a whole watermelon, it's really not that many calories, especially when you compare it to eating a whole container of anything else. Honestly, my biggest suggestion to people as far as specifics go, like get a massive fruit salad with tons of like melon, things like that, and then either have protein plans. So I love like deli meat roll-ups with like cheese in them, like pre-made, like that's perfect for me. Or a protein shake. A protein shake is going to help you feel fuller for longer, but the volume of the fruit salad is going to actually make you feel physically full. Hunger is hormonal and physical. If we can come at it from both sides, become an unstoppable fitness stoner. As recovery goes, general recommendation to people is to not smoke 2 to 3 hours before bed. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to make you feel really sleepy, but the quality of your actual sleep is going to go down. So when you are normally in your deepest rest of sleep, that's where a lot of the repairs your body makes happen. That's where your cognitive repairs come from. Even on a normal sober night, if you're waking up, you're going back to sleep, and you like can't stay asleep for too long, and you have that mental fogginess the next day, a very, very similar effect is going to happen if you smoke too close to bedtime. I will say this, in my opinion, is much stronger for some people than others. For me, myself, I wake up kind of fine. I really try not to smoke too close to bed, but it does happen. I'm not a great sleeper, and we'll touch on that in a second. So sometimes I do. I find that when I first wake up, it's a little bit harder to actually wake up, like that initial. Other than that, I'm totally fine. I have people that are like 2 days in a fog if like they smoke too much before bed, and you're always gonna have your extreme cases. So you're gonna have to figure out where on that spectrum you fall and how much you care. Are you a person like, I work at 4 a.m. If I felt like that, I would be screwed. However, if you work at 2 p.m. every day, get a coffee in, like you'll be fine. Who cares? If you are a person that consistently undersleeps, so you're a person that nearly never gets 8 hours of sleep, you're a person that has a really hard time falling asleep, staying asleep, anything like that, you're gonna have to start weighing the pros and the cons of time asleep versus sleeping at all. If you are asleep for 8 hours under the influence, that is still significantly better than 2 to 4 hours sober. I wish I could give you like an exact equation. It's different for everybody, and obviously there's a ton of different studies on how it affects sleep. It's gonna affect different people in different ways. Therefore, it's kind of hard to say, oh, well, 2 hours of stone sleep equals 4 hours, or that's not how it goes. If you're a person that is getting a detrimental amount of sleep and you find that smoking before bed is going to get you to fall asleep quickly, stay asleep the whole time, and like wake up when you're supposed to, not like 3 hours earlier or something, it's 1,000% worth it. And then I think the common one is, how do you just get up off your ass if you're stoned all the time? My honest answer, and this is usually not how I am, like usually I'm like, look, like it doesn't need to be that intense. Bottom line is, if you can't get up, get your shit done, get all your work together, and put together high quality work, get a workout in, eat the correct foods, you can't be a person that smokes all day long every day and keep a decent fitness level. Like, if you cannot get up and do shit anyway, it defeats the whole purpose. You can't handle smoking during the day and then going through your day. You don't get to smoke during the day. Goddamn privilege. If you made it this far in the video, first in the comments, I want you to tell me the thing you can't be around. Like, no matter how much of a plan you have, if I am near any sort of fresh baked good, that day is out the goddamn window. What's the thing that you just don't even try to moderate? If you stayed this long in the video just to save my soul and tell me that I would be so much better off if I didn't smoke weed. You can absolutely smoke a fuck ton of weed and stay like relatively fit. There are better ways of consumption. If you are a person that has to do cardio, maybe stick to edibles. If you're a person with any other types of health issues, like there are going to be so many people that this just absolutely doesn't apply to. And I use weed because I don't want to be on anxiety medication. I don't like it, and this works for me. There's so many people that this is just not something that gels well with their anatomy. Don't try to make it if it doesn't. If it's just making you miserable, overeat, lazy, like try to ditch it. I know it's easier said than done. If this is something that is not detrimental to your life in any way, except you're like, oh, I'm kind of worried about like, I put a lot of work into my fitness, I don't really want to lose that. That's totally valid. You're not going to lose it. It's more so, how do you nurture those things and balance smoking with it? If we lean towards certain strains, kind of just go through our checklist and make sure that all of our shit is taken care of, there is absolutely no reason that you can't safely do this as an adult and see the results that you want. I will ask, if you liked this video, I don't know that this demographic exists, please stick around. It's like, we'll gel. This is real life, and we have vices and we're not perfect. This is getting less inspirational as we go.